Hello and welcome. This is Shanna with Caffeinated Craftiness, here today for the Cards by Kendra 1000 subscribers celebration hop and giveaway. Creators participating in the hop today will be sharing projects that were inspired all by Kendra. Mine is inspired by her ink trap technique video, which I will link in the description box below. Plus, there will be a giveaway prize for every card channel participating, so make sure you comment and subscribe at each stop along the way. So let's go ahead and get crafting. Today I'm working with products all from Trinity Stamps. I will be working with the Disco Mini Slimline die, the Simply Sentimental U stamps and coordinating dies, some Distress Oxides, and my Versamark embossing ink. So in her ink trap video, Kendra used a stencil, but today I'm actually going to use my die as a stencil. So I die cut the Disco Mini Slimline die out of just some 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to tape it to another piece of smooth white cardstock and ink blend over it. This is actually going to give me two pieces to work with. I will have both my ink blended piece on the bottom, and I'll still have my die that I will have inked up as well. So in this card video, I'm actually going to be making two cards for the price of one, essentially. I am using peacock feathers, blueprint sketch, and then this is Seedless Preserves in Distressed Oxides, along with my Blending Buddy brush. I go back and forth a little bit between the colors just to smooth out the transitions. And then my favorite part is the reveal. So I used washi tape to hold it all down. Gonna peel that up. And you'll see below that the lines stay nice and crisp because it's paper. So just like when we're ink blending in general, I never have to use pixie spray or anything when I'm just keeping it paper to paper. It doesn't seem to bleed through. So now I'm going to do the ink trap technique. And for this technique, I need to line back up my stencil or my die, but I decided I wanted to offset it just a little. So I wanted a little bit of white showing. I'm just going to hold it down with my hand, and I'm taking my watermark stamp pad, the Versamark, straight, pad to paper. I'm not going to blend or anything. It is a very sticky ink. I don't have very good success when I use a blending tool, so I just like to put it straight over. I'm going to grab my Ink on 3 clear embossing powder and then cover that entire design and then heat set it. I am kind of low on my powder, so I have to kind of spread it out. I actually applied the ink to both, the embossing powder to both, so I will have two shiny pieces. I'm not ink trapping with that stencil piece, but we're still going to use it on a card. The ink trap technique will happen on that ink blended piece. After heat setting the embossing powder on both, I just take a dry cloth and make sure I don't have any loose embossing powder still around the edges. And now I'm going to take black soot Distress Oxide and go over my entire piece. Because we trapped that ink under the clear embossing powder before, this black soot isn't going to muddy up any of my colors that we first applied. It's only going to go wherever the embossing powder isn't. I decided I was being a little impatient with my Blending Buddy, so I took the pad straight to paper on this part as well, just to darken up some spots. Now I'm just buffing off the excess ink that's sitting on top of that clear embossing powder so you can see the colors more clearly. You can also see where I had some stray embossing powder. For me, that wasn't a big deal because I'm going to be covering it up with the sentiment. So trimming it down, I'm just trimming off all the excess. And then I'm left with the die cut piece. I'm going to glue it to some black cardstock first before I cut it down. Makes it a little easier to handle, and I wanted it backed in black anyhow. So I'm using wet adhesive here, and I just kind of polka dotted along some of the more thicker pieces on that die to get it down. Spray adhesive would probably have worked better, but I didn't have that nearby when I was filming. Trimming that down, so now we are left with 2 panels all ready to add sentiments to. This is just a white card base that I was toying the idea on. I thought I was going to put them on white. You will see later in the video I changed my mind completely. But, so bringing in the Simply Sentimental U, it comes with coordinating dies, which I'm actually focusing most on, but we will be using a sub-sentiment from the stamp set as well. So the dies come with 3 different versions of U that match the stamps. I'm using that little scripty one, and it's actually die cut out of some holographic cardstock, hard to see in the video. And then I decided to use this more bold U as well. I die cut it out of black cardstock, and I wanted to show you a quick trick that I like to do when those dies come together. I die cut it once first with everything still attached. So the shadow and the letters were still attached, so I'm left with this negative piece. This allows me to easily line up my letters when I go to attach them to a negative piece. And then I just save that die cut and slide it in with my dies so I can use it in the future now that those dies are no longer attached. So then it's just like putting together a puzzle. I just pop those letters in and they're perfectly aligned on the shadow. Now it's time to figure out our sub-sentiment. Being that we are celebrating Kendra's milestone on YouTube here, I decided I'd make some more positive cards. I thought I was going to do I'm so proud of you, which is what you see me kind of playing with on screen, but I ended up wanting some shorter ones. So I went with You Got This, and then I played around with looking for some other ones, and finally landed on You Inspire Me for the second sub-sentiment. Pulling out my Misty, I'm going to go ahead and just slide it in a scrap of black cardstock and use my anti-static tool. I like to actually pick my stamps up with my Misty Dwarf first, and then I'll just align them on the lid. I am heat embossing it with Ink on 3's Chrome embossing powder. I love the silver look, and I thought it would go really well with the holographic. Decided to do a lot of that work off screen since it was super basic, and it took a little bit more time on the video than I wanted it to. So I just edited it past. So this is the banner die that comes with that U set. And I just did some partial die cutting to match the size of my sub-sentiments. Now that all the pieces are stamped and put together, we are just going to assemble the cards. Gluing the die cut down, and then I'm going to glue that sub-sentiment banner right over the top. So this one will be You Got This. And then we will move on to the second panel and do this little cursive U. I love how thin this one actually is. It just stretches really pretty across a card. And then I'm going to take the other banner and glue it right below it instead of over it like with the first one. So there's our 2 card panels. Now is when I decided I probably wasn't going to go with white. Didn't have a whole lot of white on the card. I actually don't have any white on the card, so I thought it actually was just too contrasting. So I decided to grab some holographic cardstock that matched the U, and then another black panel for the bottom card. Were matted, it was time to just adhere them to the card bases. So I still did use the white card bases I had planned, I just chose to completely cover the fronts. I I appreciate you all for stopping by today. Please make sure you complete the hop to see all the inspiration we have for you. Remember, there's a giveaway prize for each stop along the hop, so make sure you hop to as many as you can and watch and comment below to enter. Winners will be randomly selected and announced a few days after the hop ends on December 4th. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked what I made and that you enjoy the hop. Have a great day, you guys, and bye-bye.